especially our expectations from the government in respect to delivering the dividends of democracy to the people. How well have we asked the right questions from the government? And today on the show, I have a member of the People's Democratic Party. I contested for the House of Assembly for AJEROMI-IFELODUN State Constituency 1 in the 2023 general election. I remember I spoke to him on Saturday of the election, and I asked, and he told me about, what exactly was going on. Remember, we had the conversation during the election when I was, monitoring the election around Lagos, and I'm like, what's going on in your area? And he's like, you know what? I'm actually in my house now. I can barely go out. The people are... We're going to talk about some of these things today. I remember last week, I had a member of the PDP join me on Tuesday, and one of the questions I asked him is that, as his party, the PDP, failed in providing credible opposition to the Nigerian people, and that's exactly where we're going to start the conversation from this evening. I have Honorable ODUMOSU LUQMAN ADELAKU with me in the studio. They call him Lau. ADELAKU, apologies. They call him Lau. And I remember, when I made this post this morning, somebody was like, where did you find Lau? Is he still in Nigeria? Is he still in Lagos? And I'm like, yeah, he's going to be my guest on the show today. So we're going to get into this conversation. And majorly on the show today, we're going to focus on how the opposition can help to further strengthen the fiber of democracy in Nigeria, whether we like it or not. Beyond being an opposition party, beyond just going to the pages of newspaper or, going around the media, criticizing what the government is doing, the opposition is meant to provide a credible alternative to the people, so that when the election comes, the circle does not become a one-party system. It doesn't just become a situation whereby people will say, well, it's just party WXY that is going to be on the ballot and is going to be the one we're going to vote for. So I'm going to just call it straight that way, and that's what a lot of your constituents, especially the people in AJEROMI-IFELODUN State Constituency 1, actually know you as. So you're welcome once again. Honorable ODUMOSU LUQMAN ADELAKU is live with me in the studio, and we're going to get straight up into the conversation. Good evening. You're welcome once again to the Situation Room.
Good evening, Lagos. Good evening, AJEROMI-IFELODUN. Good evening, people of Nigeria. Thanks for having me today.
It's always a pleasure to have you. I think the last time we had this conversation was about a year ago. You came in and you were like, oh, you've changed your building. So if this is the first time you're joining us in this studio, that means the last time we had you on the show was when we were in the old building.
That's right.
This looks really different, It looks really beautiful.
This is a bigger studio and a nicer studio. I see that things have stepped up there. So you guys are stepping up your game. Congratulations for that.
Big shout out to the management around here. We know how to get it done. Yes. By the way, we're streaming this program live on all our social media platforms, on facebook.com, mainland 98.3 FM. You can check it out. You watch us live, and also on YouTube, mainland 983 on YouTube and Facebook. You can also drop your comment on those platforms. By the time we're done, I think on the turn of 4:30, we're going to have you join us in the conversation. So it's a big time here on the show. Well, this program is from 4 to 5, and by 4:35, we're going to open the conversation for you to join in. Okay, so let's get straight up into it. Over the weekend, I think towards the end of last week, there was the national, conference of the Nigerian Bar Association.
Yes.
And there's been a lot of issues. One interesting thing about the NBA conference majorly is that there's always a twist at every single year. I remember last year there were issues about, things being missing on the conference ground, and all of that. But this time around, beyond the artist that was brought to perform, and beyond the fact that, some of the learned, members of the bar actually stake the walkout, there was an issue with the national treasurer of the NBA. She came openly to talk about how the NBA chairman had not made her function in her capacity, how she's not a member of any of the finance committee, how she does not even know how they brought in the statement of account of the NBA. And I'm wondering, if the NBA, a body that is actually supposed to be one of the most respected body we have in Nigeria, could have all of these issues around it. Well, much later on the show, we played the inside of the NBA chairman, where he was actually defending why he had the president, come give, the keynote address at the conference. And a lot of people were like, and he came out. We played that inside much later on, but let's get straight up into it. Let's start from 𝗪𝗵𝗁. He's a member of your party, and I don't know how you want to act disinterested with Nigerian politics. You must tell me for a fact that you know who 𝗪𝗵𝗁 is.
Very well.
He's the serving FCT minister. He had not resigned his membership of the PDP, and he had come out to say that he's calling the bluff of the People's Democratic Party, that anyone that has the I don't want to use the word he used, they should suspend him from the PDP. Odumbosu, you've been around the PDP for a while. I remember we had this conversation when you joined us last, and you were like, a lot of other parties had reached out to you, even the ruling party, that, you know what, come around, we give you a ticket, and you've insisted on being in the PDP because you're not just for the party, but you're interested in the ideologies of the party. And in the last 1 year, what can you make up of the PDP being an opposition in Nigeria? Let me put it to you straight, Honorable Lau. As your party, the PDP, failed in its responsibility as being the major opposition party in Nigeria?
This is a great question. The emergence of the Labour Party candidate in the person of Mr. Peter Obi, or His Excellency Peter Obi, I think has changed the dynamics of
opposition.
Has changed the dynamics of the opposition in Nigerian politics. Before, we had two major parties in Nigeria who were actually, let me reduce this my English because people keep telling me my.
That was why somebody asked me this morning that, are you still in Nigeria? I mean, he thought you left, and I'm like, you're still here.
Somebody told me my phone is too much, so I will come back home now. So it has changed the dynamics of our politics in this country. Before, we all know the main two parties were PDP and APC, but with the division within the two parties now, because it's mostly majority of the people from PDP who went to Labour Party. That's why in the last election, APC was saying the best thing that happened to them in this election was Labour Party. Because it took away majority of the states that PDP used to win. Took away majority of the young people or the people who used to be PDP supporters. And this really affected the party a lot. Now, in my own view and in my own opinion, this is where the leadership of the party, this is where they need to sit down and come together and decide where they want to take this party and where they want to take the actually opposition party in Nigeria wants to go. We cannot fight these people by ourselves the way things are at the moment. When PDP were in power, for them to be able to wrestle power from PDP, we knew what they did. They all got together, went to other parties, came together as a conglomerate, and they all said, okay, we've tried it as a ACN, it didn't work. We tried it as NNPP, it didn't work. We tried it as CPC, it didn't work. So what do? Let us come together and get rid of these people. And it worked for them. So now, personally, me speaking, I think that's the best thing for PDP to do right now. Because right now, as an opposition, we are still the main opposition, whether anybody wants to say otherwise or not. PDP is still the only party that has a nationwide coverage, that has the structure. People can say structure does not matter, but it really does matter if you understand the way Nigerian politics is. What happened in the last election was just a fluke. But if you think you can go on like that, it will not work. That is why a lot of those candidates of Labour Party who won in certain places, they are getting taken from them. They are losing their mandate, and it's going back to the opposite, to the ruling party in most of those situations. So structure does matter. A strong party and a strong structure really does matter. So I would advise, or this is me, what I would do is get together all these other parties. We have to come together now, whether we like it or not. If we are really serious about wrestling power from the APC, because in the country now, everybody's crying. There's nowhere you go. It's even the main party members that are crying the most now. Because what is happening in the country, you can't go to the petrol station and say you're an APC member
and they sell you fuel
cheaper. No. And you can't go to the market and say you're an APC member and you get food cheaper. It's affecting everybody. So right now, for us as a people, if we are really serious about fighting and about, this opposition thing that we are talking about, we can't do it alone. We need to get and bring everybody together. I saw a publication recently that the former Vice President, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, the PDP presidential candidate, was having a meeting with the NNPP candidate.
That's 𝗪𝗵𝘁𝘀𝗪
that they're talking. All these talks are very important. They should talk. And apparently, I heard that Peter Obi too was invited for a talk. Whether that transpired or it did not, I can't really say, because one side you are hearing that yes, it met with them. The other side you are hearing that it didn't happen. So if it did happen, I'm not too sure about that, but I don't really want to talk too much about that. So right now, I know everybody is waiting for the tribunal to wait to see the outcome of that. I think that would help decide where all these parties are going in the future. So we don't have that long to go anymore. It's 2 days now. By the grace of God, we hear what will happen. If it's still going to be this ruling party that will still maintain the position, we will know. And if the court are going to say otherwise, we'll wait till then and then we'll find out. But for now, we need to restructure.
Okay. I think this same sentiment you shared was actually shared by one of the leaders of the PDP. That's Bode George. Was on national TV a couple of times in 2015, which is the merger, the faction of the PDP, the ACN, the CPC, some faction of the ABGA as well. Coming together to form the APC. And we saw what happened in 2015, consolidated in 2019 against all odds in 2023. I'm talking about 2 days time. I'm actually, I think we'll talk about that maybe on Thursday. Let's not preempt the cause. Let's just wait for what the judgment is going to be. The presidential election petition tribunal said that it would decide the fate of Tinubu, Atiku, and Peter Obi on the 6th of September, which is on Wednesday. Well, let's keep our fingers crossed. We're talking about opposition again. Let's come to the issue of anti-party activity. I've asked a lot of questions several times, and one of the questions I've asked again is that the PDP does not have the internal structure to punish or to bring to members that have obviously, publicly shown that we don't care, we're going to do anti-party politics, we're going to call your bluff and nothing is going to happen. We saw that happen at different places, but most, notably rather, to be the immediate past governor of Rivers State is a serving member of the cabinet of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. That's Nyesom Wike. There's also the former governor of Ekiti State, 𝗪𝗵𝗁, and we've seen a couple of other people as well that they've not particularly resigned their membership of the PDP. But they've been hobnobbing, they've been, moving around with the members of the APC, coming on TV to defend, to talk about the ruling party positively. What exactly is going on within the PDP? The PDP went into the 2023 election with a divided house, and we've seen the consequences of that. Is anything changing anytime soon, Honorable ADELAKU? Let's talk about that.
Our country is a great country. We tend to know how to things that are probably impossible in other climes are always,
you find it easy to do it here.
That just happen here in Nigeria and no consequences. Like we joke about this APC thing. There's even a song about it that people sing and dance to, but it's actually not funny. Because if we are thinking, if what we are talking about is about governance and managing this country and people that we want to put at the helms of our affairs, are people who disregard everything that what they're supposed to be doing stands for. A party like PDP has a constitution, and in that constitution, it states clearly the sort of the disciplinary method for things like anti-party activities. I really do not want to say what the BOT of the party are doing with regards to most of these things that's happening in the party at the moment, because personally to me it makes no sense. It's not just Nyesom Wike and 𝗪𝗪𝗁 that yes, even here in this our Lagos state, the level of anti-party in the last election was shocking. Because you look at the leaders of the party who are openly working for the opposition, and supporting the opposition because the opposition members came from PDP, and because they used to be PDP members, it's easy for them to say, yeah, they can openly. It's not so.
Is that enough? Is that enough justification?
It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. It's like you're working at an NPC and you're collecting money at
Mobile.
At Mobile. How does that work? You know, we look. Sometimes when I talk, I get too emotional, and I don't want. If I talk too much, I will say certain things, and I try to avoid, or I try to control what I say, because it just doesn't make any sense to me. The sort of discipline I have and the sort of training that I have and my background and where I come from and what I know and how I know how to do things. Look, I could have left, like me and you discussed the last time I came here. I could have left PDP a long time ago. There are better things waiting for me if I had go to join the opposition. They're still calling me till today. Leave those people. They are not serious. Leave them. Come over here. We have things for you. But I don't know how to jump. It just doesn't work for me like that. I'm a loyal person. Where I am is where I am. The ideology of PDP, which was the ideology when I joined the party, is still the ideology that I still believe in till date. And the other parties, they have their own ideologies, which I don't abide by. So why would I leave something that this is what I believe in and then just go and join something else because of what I'm going to gain from there? Then I'm defeating the purpose of what I'm trying to say to the people that want to elect me, if I gain for me to be in the position to go and represent them. But with what we have in our polity and our politics in Nigeria, God help us. So this cannot continue. Somebody needs to come up and really say something about this. That the way we are doing, especially this new trend that's happening now, it needs to be nipped in the bud as soon as possible. We cannot be doing this sort of thing. And PDP needs to take a stance. If the party is going to remain as PDP, or they are just going to disband the party and everybody go about their way, let's know what is happening. If they cannot discipline people, what example are you showing to the younger generation or the people who are thinking of joining politics later, that yes, I can join and can just do anyhow and just nobody can do me anything because maybe I've bought this person or I have all these people in my pocket and I don't want to talk. It's really bad.
I totally understand. Day before yesterday, I was having a chat with the state's general secretary of the PDP in Ondo State, and and one of the things I asked him was that a lot of people feel that the strength that the PDP used to have. Remember that the PDP used to have over 26 governors in Nigeria at some point.
Yes.
And the more we move into the elections, the numbers keep going down, and it keeps going down, and it keeps going down. Now, let me ask you, there are mid-season elections now, about 3 states in 2023, and of course, in 2024, there's going to be an election in Edo State. In 2023, there's going to be an off-season election in Imo State. There's going to be an off-season election in Bayelsa as well. What are the chances of your party, the PDP? And Edo State is in 2024. Yes, Kogi is also this year. I mean, your party had picked the former House of Reps member, the former senator, the former presidential spokesperson of the PDP. That's distinguished Senator Dino Melaye. I mean, he's a man I really find very interesting, by the way, as the PDP governorship candidate in Kogi State. But even at that, there's been a lot of issues in respect to how the PDP would stand out in those elections, especially on the background of what happened in the 2023 general elections. What are the chances of your party going into those 3 elections? And we're going to come to issues within, between the governor of Edo State and his deputy, Governor Obaseki, and his deputy, Comrade Philip Shuaib. In fact, he's been told to leave the government house. That's the office of the deputy governor, has been relocated somewhere different. So it doesn't look like that drama is going to end anytime soon. But let's talk about the other 3 states of Kogi State, Imo State, and Bayelsa State. Let's talk about that. What are the chances of your party in those elections? Then from there, we'll flip the conversation and we'll talk about the cabinet of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I mean, you saw the cabinets. You saw the process, you saw the appointments, you saw where they were, told to go serve. We're going to come to talk about that, but let's talk about the chances of your party in the coming elections in Kogi State, in Bayelsa State, and in Imo State.
With the Bayelsa State election, I actually see PDP doing really well.
I mean, it looks like PDP is Bayelsa State is a comfort zone for the PDP.
I see it as a PDP state, and I still believe we're going to maintain that state. We're going to keep over to that state. With the drama and everything that's happening at the moment, which is the reason why I was still talking about this thing within the leadership in the PDP. You see, leadership matters. When you're talking about when PDP we had like 23 states, and you look at the people who were in charge of the party then, when we still had the former president, olusegun obasanjo. You know, the Baba is somebody that knows about structure, and he knows about discipline, and he knows how to put party first before anything, before self. Now you have people who are just putting themselves before the party now, which is a situation. Obasanjo was also somebody who put Nigeria first before himself. You see him as a proper nationalist, someone who he doesn't do tribalism. He tries to do everything according to how the Constitution states that things should be done. Not the situation where you have now, where everybody's talking about nepotism. The state is collecting it. Even now, they are even complaining that Lagos has taken all the ministerial, Lagos is taking all the positions. But leadership really matters. That is why you have the situation whereby they're saying the list of the governorship committee. How can you have the name of one person in two parties? Even the APC has come out to deny that was wrong.
But the list is in public space, and his name is on both lists.
His name is on both lists, but they are claiming that that was a mistake. It didn't happen. Whatever. PDP is still maintaining that it's on the list. Now, I did an interview the other day, and I was asked the same question. What do you think? And I'm saying personally, I cannot put somebody like 𝗰𝗃 on a PDP list. Even on an APC list, if I'm an APC member, I will not put that kind of person on my list, because you cannot trust him. You don't know where he's going to sway. If he's going to work this way or he's going to work that way.
𝗰𝗃 is a Nigerian politician.
He's a Nigerian politician, so he goes where his interest is at. So if his interest is not there, so do it is for the party, so everything. So you can still claim to be a member of the party. We all know otherwise, and we can all see otherwise. But anybody who's in their right mind, even though he said, and he rightly said, he did the right things before he was given the ministerial position. He understands the game very well, and he plays the game accordingly, because he wrote the letter to the national chairman.
𝗪𝗶𝗃 George actually came out to say that
he wrote to his chairman.
The people he wrote the letters to,
chairman,
the people he had in his corner.
Yes, he wrote to all these people, and they all said, "Yes, go ahead, collect the position. We have your back." And they will come back and tell you that during Obasanjo's time, Bola Ige was a member of the AD,
and he served in his cabinet.
And he served judiciously before whatever happened. So basically, that is what he is there to do. But is he really a PDP member? For what we are going to do in Bayelsa, do we really want to put such a person in our committee that we will not be able to, talk freely amongst ourselves? That even the governor of Rivers State, I won't put him in the committee, because I know it's wicked.
Yeah, I know. He said he has a mind of his own. Governor Fubara said he's a man of his own.
The same thing. Me too, I will have a mind of my own, but I know who's still the piper, and so I know. So all these things, we have to be very tactical about it. We want to maintain that state, so we have to do it properly. With Imo State, I think we also what happened in Imo State as well. Imo State is a PDP state. Regardless of what anybody is saying, whoever is there now, the guy that was
His Excellency Governor Hope Uzodinma is the chairman of the APC Progressive Governors Forum, and he's going into that election with all of the backings of all of the APC governors. Do you think your party stands any chance whatsoever to wrestle power from the leadership of the APC in Imo State?
When 𝗪𝗃 wrestled power from
𝗪𝗃.
It was just 𝗪𝗃, but he did his groundwork. He did his own work. I went to Ekiti that time. I saw what the guy did. He is who he is now. But when he did that, when he ran for that election that time, I've never seen anything like it in politics, in Nigerian politics in my life. I said people were buying 𝗪𝗃's t-shirt. In politics, we give out t-shirts.
People were buying it.
People were buying his t-shirts. The love they had for him on the street. The guy controlled the street. I went with one of the ministers then, one of the PDP ministers then, and he said, Egbon, if you are doubting that I'm going to win in this election, let me take you. Let's go on the street. Let me just show you. I'll go in your car. Bring your cigarette.
Let me hold your thoughts for a minute. During that particular election, I was working for a newspaper, house, and then so I was in Ekiti for about a month, build up to the election. And there was a day 𝗵𝗃 came into the States, and if I was to be 𝗵𝗃emi in that time, I'll be G3. As at that time, 𝗵𝗃 mobilized about nothing less than 3,000 motorcyclists, Okada riders, gave them helmets, gave all of them fuel, full tank, and they moved around the nooks and crannies of the capital, Ado-Ekiti. I covered that particular rally, and I told someone, I said, if someone has this much love on the street, it's going to be difficult for him to lose an election. And he won all of the 26 local governments in the state.
He cleaned out
all of them.
Cleaned everything. I said, this guy, I went with the minister, one of the 7 ministers then. This guy got out of the bulletproof car that we put him in.
And he was on the street.
Let me out of this car. These people cannot see me properly. He got out, like he said, mentioned the Okada, and he sat on one of the Okadas on the back of one of the Okadas and stood on it. And it was just, and see the people trooping out from everywhere. It's sad to see what he has become now, but that guy is a pro. When you call someone a grassroots politician, it's your typical grassroots politician. These are the sort of people that when elections are coming, the party is supposed to go and call them and sit them down. Oh yeah, what's the grouse? What's your problem? What do you need? Are you still going to be part of us? You are not going to be part of us, let us know. But if you want to be part of us, what are the things that you want, and how do we move this party forward? He understands the game. He understands politics. So that same thing as 𝗰𝗃 as well. But I think 𝗰𝗃's one has gone too far. He's somebody that probably they should be, one has to be very tactical with the way you deal with him at the moment because of his position that he's in at the moment and everything. So it takes a lot of work. But with 𝗵𝗃, I still think certain things can still be done with him and a few other people.
Okay, so before we come into the the minister's conversation, yes, Kogi State.
Kogi State, that was a very peculiar one. And it's going to be a funny election because Governor Yahya Bello, we know the oath that he has on that state, and if one is to go by his re-election, what happened in that state. Come on, that state is one funny state. But I think Dino, as we all know him, is also another character on his own, who I believe can hold his own.
He's actually been on the low for a while.
He has been very quiet lately. He has been on the low. I hope being on the low is him working. Him, not trying to get into any, wrangles with anybody, because you saw what happened between him and 𝗰𝗃 recently, and him going out and saying he wants to, do this or do that. He has all this. And I don't think he needs that right now. The position that he's going for, demands him to be, have some form of etiquette and, carry himself in a certain way. So he doesn't really need to get in the mud with anybody right now. But if we are going to go by his antecedents with what he has done in his senatorial district, is somebody that anywhere you go, they will tell you this guy did a lot. He has done better than most of the other senators that's ever been produced in that state. So for that alone, if the Kogi people are really serious about, because that Kogi is one peculiar state. I don't even know why a state would be so blessed. Kogi is probably one of the most blessed states in
Kogi
Nigeria.
has the border with 11 different states.
Yet their roads are probably the worst in Nigeria.
True. You move from Lokoja to Kaba, and you spend like 5 hours, and you're wondering, I will have gotten to Lagos back from Ibadan, and I'm still within Kogi
I will
State.
leave Nigeria, I will enter plane, I'll probably I'll get to London.
And you're still at Okene.
So you can imagine such a blessed state that, and then they have all this leadership. Nigeria, God bless this country and God help us.
We'll come to that conversation much later. Now let's talk about you. You talked about ideology. I'm always very careful to use the word ideology when I'm referring to party politics in Nigeria. This is what I mean. Someone can take a breakfast in APC, take lunch in PDP, and take dinner in Labour Party. That's how much people spread their own ideology in this country. So when I'm talking about politics, I'm always really careful how I use the word ideology. But you talked about you holding on to the ideologies that brought you into PDP and are still kept you in the PDP. You participated in the last general election as the PDP candidate for AJEROMI-IFELODUN State Constituency 1 in the Lagos State House of Assembly. And I remember on the election day, I put a call through to you, and I'm like, what exactly is going on? And the feedback you gave me was not good. And that was not even from you alone. It's obviously on public space, all of the chaos that happened in that axis in respect to the House of Assembly and governorship election. As a candidate, did you think INEC lived up to the responsibility of what they promised Nigerians leading into the 2023 election? And don't also forget that the legitimacy of all of these elections is still being challenged in courts. That we're waiting that probably by Wednesday, the status quo could remain or it could be changed. But in your own assessment, as a candidate that was named on the ballot, how could you assess INEC in that particular one? And from your point as an opposition party member, what would you think that the INEC should do, especially with the 3 governorship elections coming this year?
Now, we always talk about the youths in this country, that they're the future, and the future of this country is in their hands, and they can decide where they want this country and where they want it to go. The reason why I'm mentioning the youths is because, most of the people used as electoral to manage all the election ballot boxes and the election materials and everything, they were all youth corpers. Now, that's the beginning of the problem in elections. Because all those corpers have been, they're all compromised. Majority of them are compromised. This thing about, it's not just the voters who are bought, who sell their votes.
Even the umpires.
The umpires, starting from the coppers, or before you even get to INEC, is a problem. On the day of election, most of those coppers, they were opening accounts for them, OP accounts, transferring 100,000 to their account.
On election day, is this factual?
And these are the so-called youths that we're talking. And it's the same is not helping us. They are the boys that put out there a lot of Igbos and
AJEROMI-IFELODUN. Perfect. It's the Wazobia community.
I'm telling you, that the previous elections, PDP has always won in that local government. So ever imagine or could never believe that could happen in Nigerian politics. I saw them on that day, and some of them I even want to try and forget and not even want to even remember them. It was just so bad. It was so dire. Like, is this really? So that happened as well. Now from there, then you have the voters.
Don't come out.
Don't you dare come out, and most of them chose not to come out, and you can't blame them. Then you get to the part of the INEC. So can I blame INEC much after what the result is, what they bring to them that they're going to put out there? Even though there was some report that some things were happening the night before election, these sort of things were going on in certain places and blah blah blah. I don't have facts. I don't have anything to show you, but we know about them. But for you to get there, you can't even get into the place because they have security around most of those places, so you will not be able to get in. So certain things we heard were going on, but I don't want to talk about them if I can't physically prove it. So all those took place as well. INEC can do better. I believe they can do better, and I believe for Nigeria to move forward, the electoral act and INEC has a lot of work to do, and the leadership.
In case you're wondering, maybe you need to, log on to our Facebook page or on our YouTube page and see how Honorable Adelaku is struggling, to get the right word. And I totally understand. I was, privileged to cover this election from every corner of Lagos, and that make the fourth election I've been on the field covering. 2011, 2015, 2019, 2023. And I must tell you for a fact that the 2023 general election is one of the most unique kind of election in this country. And unique means I'm just putting it the right way. Or let me use the word, the best possible way I can actually describe it. Unique one. So let's put that aside. What are you up to? It's an election. It's come. It's gone. And we've seen a lot of political parties, candidates just coming after election. They just lay low. We don't get to hear nothing from them. The people of AJEROMI-IFELODUN, gave you their mandates. Maybe not every one of them. Obviously, you didn't win the election.
At all.
But then a few people actually trusted you, believed in your campaign process, however it came out. So what are you up to? Perhaps, a lot of grassroots mobilization going on ahead of the next election. The phone lines are buzzing, by the way. So we'll open the phone line very soon. 09136000410. I'm really, really struggling with my voice. But of course, if you've ever followed this program, then you know that this is not the way I used to sound on a normal day. And we're just here to get it done. And so what are you up to? I mean, the people of AJEROMI, I remember you talked about trying to open an hub, a park where people can come together. You talked about the talents. I remember you had a conversation about the pipe market, the plumbing market. I remember we had this conversation really clear. So now, since we've done it with the election, what are you up to? What are you doing for the people of AJEROMI-IFELODUN constituency? What are we expecting from you anytime soon?
Thank you very much. Since the election, I've actually taken a break because I really, really needed a break. I worked so hard.
By the way, you have a very interesting WhatsApp status. Let me put it that way.
I worked so hard in that election that I think I put a lot into that election. Resources, physically, spiritually, everything. I put so much into that election.
You should start with financially.
Financially.
That's where we should start from.
Whoa. I don't know. It's just. Anyway, it's the game. It's a gamble. You win some, you lose some. But this was one that I knew and I believed that we could win. But like I said, with the emergence of Labour Party, it messed up a lot of things for everybody. And you see, politics. I went to campaign in some places, and I was saying to these people who used to be our former members who have always been PDP members, but because of certain reason that they all decided to vote for Labour Party. And I went and met with them. I'm saying that, look, I understand you people want to vote for 𝗵𝗃𝗏, and you have all done that. You have done what you could do, and you saw the result of what happened and how everybody has seen what you have done in Lagos State. But this election is coming now. It's not about emotion anymore. Now it's about calculation. We have to sit down and calculate. They call it political science for a reason. There's a science to this thing. And the science is to sit down and look at your strength. What can we do? How can we win this election? And which way should we go? And unfortunately, people still did whatever it is that they wanted to do. And when the result came out, everybody's now crying. But it's too late to cry now.
Done.
It's too late to cry now. When I was talking about it, then nobody listened, and it's now we should have listened. But to put that aside, I'm taking a break. I just got back, traveled for a while, so I'm back now. Some of those things, that's why I'm able to come on the air now to come and talk and let people know that I'm back in the country now. And some of those things that we discussed, some of the people that I was talking to, then we're going to revive our conversation, because those things I still really want to do them. The market we have in AJEROMI-IFELODUN, which is the the plumbing and the fire extinguishers and the market that we have there is, like I said, told you, it's it's the biggest in the whole of West Africa for bathroom materials, for anything plumbing. Now, that area, you would think that such a technical school like the one I was thinking about bringing to that area would be the ideal place to create such a thing. And I'm still working on it. And by the grace of God, I'm still going to be able to do that for that area. Another thing I was thinking about, but I don't know if I'll be able to do it, and it's something that, growing up in UK, I always go to the park and sit down and watch all these kids. It's a roller skate park. There's not one in Nigeria, and it's something that I'd really love to create in that area, because there's a lot of kids over there who are on rollerblades every day, and they're using their rollerblades, and in Lagos as a whole, and they're going about, but they don't have a park where they can go to, to go and do their thing. And this will be something really nice, and hopefully by the time we open it, we'll have kids from Nigeria going to represent Nigeria in all these competitions out of the country.
It's a big one. I watched the world skateboarding competition.
Exactly.
I think it was about $400,000.
Exactly.
The grand prize.
It's not just, the park can be used for these kids who use their bikes as well for stunts, to do stunts as well, and all this stuff. So it's a bike park that can be used for like 3 or 4 different things at the same time. So these ideas that we need to just come up with different things, not just the same old. We'll go and do ball, we'll go and do this one, and there's nothing different about anybody. Now, talking about whether election was lost or won. Yes, we might have lost the general election, but I believe we still won in some aspect there. Because some of the places where I went to campaign, the ruling party did not campaign, or they didn't think of going before. They went to those places, and they were promising things that they refused to do for them for all these years. Before you know it, as soon as they heard that Lao has been there, you see them, they'll go there. Next thing you know, they are giving them balls. Next thing you know, they are digging up the roads to do their drainages for them, and promising them that they are going to fix the road. And so even if we lost in certain things, at least we won. The people won, and for that alone, I'm even happy about it. But we'll go back, we'll rebuild, and we'll come back stronger. Okay,
well, that's exactly what politics is about. I remember a friend joked about one very famous, gubernatorial candidate in Lagos. The person says it comes around like a FIFA World Cup every 4 years. So once the election is done, it doesn't win the election. He hibernates. You don't get to hear nothing from him. The next election cycle is out again. Well, and in case you're just tuning in, I've been speaking with Honorable LUQMAN ODUMOSU ADELAKU. Well, he's a member of the People's Democratic Party, and he contested on the platform of the party for the Lagos State House of Assembly for AJEROMI-IFELODUN State Constituency 1. And we've looked at a lot of things on the show. He's a very, very engaging, individual. We looked at how our opposition can help to further deepen the fiber of democracy in Nigeria. We also looked at the situation of 𝗬𝗵𝗁 in respect to anti-party, and I like his perspective about it. We're going to get into that much later. Calls and messages, let's do that real quick. 0913-600-0410. Talk to us. What do you make of this? I've always been of the opinion that there's no democracy that can thrive if there's no, active opposition to give the people discerning options to choose from. Do you also share the sentiment? Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Zero, you're welcome.
Good evening, sir. Your guest today has one perspective contributed a lot on the issue at hand. But one thing he fails to answer, one question you ask him that he did not answer is this. You ask him that PDP went to the election at a divided house. I well know that one night they say that the house that divided against itself can never stand. So why going to a tribunal again to challenge the result of the election? Election where you went to where you lost 5 governors, prominent governors, strong government party did not went along with the presidential candidate. And before the election, he has lost the election, so he knew. Why going to the tribunal? And that's number one. Number two, He said they want to join together again to pull out APC in the next election. Are you think that would be possible?
Of
What
course.
led to the moving out of PDP and Kwakwaso moving out of PDP? Who will be the president among all of them? That's the problem. Do you think that Atiku will step down for Obi to become the president of that coalition, or Kwakwaso will step down for any one of the two? That is the problem. That was what led to the two of them moving out of PDP in the first instance. How are they going to work together to face APC again?
Thank you.
That is the main point that made the two of them to lose this election.
Thank
They
you.
knew why are they going to court. What are they challenging?
What's your name,
We shall
sir?
see on Wednesday. Let give judgment.
Okay.
Have good evening.
What's your name, sir?
Sorry. 0913-600-0410. Sam from Agudi is also texting. And he says that there's no effective opposition party for now because all of the opposition have been tailored to fit the ruling party, which is very, very bad for democracy. If you try to fight the ruling party as an opposition party, especially as a person in the opposition, you'll be chased out with their watchdogs. The politicians in Nigeria now is politics in Nigeria is very dirty and corrupt. If you don't have money and you don't belong to a particular fraternity in the political space, you will find it difficult to thrive. Okay, that's Sam from Agudo. Prince Wise, 1 minute.
Yes, Opeyemi. Good afternoon.
You're welcome.
I want to greet your guest over there.
Good afternoon, sir.
You try, that's supposed to be.
Thank you, sir.
But why PDP lost the election? It is your man that constitutes. That is attitude. Why? It's 5 man against 1 man. And this is a real politician now. But what I nobody cares. This is God Almighty.
Prince Wise. Oh dear. If you can try and call us back, I would really appreciate it. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
You're welcome.
It's Lawa. I'm calling from Sweden.
Good to have you join us, Lawa.
I greet our guest.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
I used to that in local government very well.
Okay, sir.
But what we need, my brother, we need educational quota. And to educate our people.
Okay, we're having a lot of difficulties with the phone lines. We're really struggling. Let me read some messages then. This one says, my name is Femi from Apapa. I know your guest very well. In the last election, I collected poster from him and I pasted it in front of my gate. He's a sound mind, but he doesn't look like a good Nigerian politician. I don't know what that means, but I hope you got the message, by the way. Thank you very much, Femi, from Apapa. This one says, my name is Alex from Ikorodu. A nice conversation you're having, but the PDP and the other opposition party need to come together, as your guest said, to wrestle power from the ruling APC. Without that, we're going to be on the same spot. Thank you very much. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
I really appreciate you, Mr. Adroja. You've been calling since. Thank you.
Yes. We eat more into our time, but no problem. I greet our guests in the studio as well.
Good evening, Mr. Adroja.
A very brilliant mind, but until he said somebody who couldn't account for $16 billion for electricity is a nationalist. Somebody who since 1983, Operation Feed the Nation is converted to Obasanjo farm. Why is a nationalist? A good leader who put Nigeria at first. Somebody wants to change the constitution to get top up. My brother, you are different from these people. If you take my advice, you don't sound like a politician, a Nigerian politician. Please, I beg you in the name of God, stay away from politics. These people will tarnish your image. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. George. I guess you understand what the last message meant by you are not. You don't look like
I'm not a typical Nigerian politician.
I think that's the word. The word typical spells it out. In a minute, Honorable Lau, we've had a very interesting conversation today. Wrap it up and let's just talk to the people of AJEROMI-IFELODUN.
Question: what is a typical Nigerian politician?
Somebody like me, maybe.
What is? You see, this thing has to be defined. Maybe this is something that has to be another topic. What is a typical Nigerian politician? Is it somebody that is not straightforward? Is it somebody that cannot represent his people? Or is it somebody that just go in there to go and do for himself and not for the people who he's supposed to represent? What is the typical Nigerian politician? Do we really want to move this country forward? We cannot be doing the same thing and expect a different result. The typical politicians that we have been using are the reasons why we are in the situation that we are now. Nigerians, let's take a new path if we want this country to move forward.
Thank you. I think you've given me something we're going to open on maybe towards the end of the week. What exactly defines a typical Nigerian politician? Well, I thank you very much, Honorable ODUMOSU LUQMAN ADELAKU, as a member of the PDP, and of course he contested in the last election for House of Assembly for AJEROMI-IFELODUN State Constituency 1. Thank you once again for joining us on the show. Well, today is the Monday. God willing, tomorrow I'll be back by 4 o'clock to take you through the world of politics. Keep your dialogue on Mainland 98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos.
Fantastic conversations.
Great to see you again. It's good weather. You want to agree with that?
Yeah, I love weather. Trending music.
I live the life that I love. I love the life that I live. Tomorrow.
Traffic updates.
Ojauba and Charity intersections is good. There's no cause for alarm.
Sports. And everything fun is right here on Mainland 98.3 FM. Don't touch that dial.
Headline news on 98.3 Mainland FM.
Good evening. Headline news on 98.3 Mainland FM. My name is 𝗪𝗵𝘁𝘀 𝗪𝗴. NMA seeks review of allowances as economic hardship worsens due to subsidy removal. Nigerian bank employees to join NLC's two-day strike action. DSS uncovers plot to mobilize youth for violent protests. President Tinubu chairs Security Council meeting ahead of India trip. Nigeria's election court to rule on challenge to Tinubu's victory on September 6th. On the foreign scene, Niger reopened skies to civilian flight. In sports, Napoli boss demands more from